Hello. I wanted to video document my hair loss issues. I washed my hair this morning. This is probably the last wash day I'm going to do at this length because I'm going to get it cut Friday. Today is Wednesday. I'm going to take off quite a few inches. And I want to talk about my hair loss journey, what that encompasses, and why I'm going to cut my hair. I am 51. I will be 52 this year. I first dealt with hair loss as a teenager. I was wearing my hair in the banana clips. This is back in the late 80s. And where I was hooking the little clip in my hair, it wore a bald spot, like right at my crown. And my hairdresser pointed it out to me. I forget if I stopped wearing the banana clip or if I just hooked it in a different place or a different way where it wasn't pulling as much. And the hair did grow back. My hair was not really long at that time, but I was trying to grow it long before I was a teenager. When I was a little girl, on my mother's side of the family, everyone has wavy hair. And I don't think very many of them know how to deal with it. At least my mother didn't know how to deal with it. She kept her hair short. My older sister actually had straight hair, so that was a rare one. My brother he's older than me too. He had straight hair until he went through puberty and it turned curly. And then I was born with curly hair. So I don't think my mother knew how to deal with my hair. She just kept it long and she brushed it, which you don't brush curls, but a lot of people don't know that. It was really thick, it was really heavy, it was really hot. I'm so old that like air conditioning was a rare thing back then. I remember not having air conditioning in school, not in my house. I remember adding it when we added it to my house. Like the only time I had air conditioning was in a car. So it was very hot, very heavy. I still to this day, when it's hot, my hair has to be up and like off of the back of my neck. I'm so hot with all this hair. It seemed like all the girls in school had short hair. And I wanted short hair because everybody else had short hair and it was so hot and heavy, right? So my mother fought me on cutting it for a while. I think she knew it would be harder to manage shorter. It is actually a lot easier to manage the curls when there's weight pulling them down. They don't get all crazy, you know? So finally, when I was around 8 years old, it was in the summertime, I was out of school, my mom cut it to about my shoulders. And it was kind of crazy. And so then she realized she didn't know how to cut curly hair very well. It is hard to cut curly hair. It's been hard my whole life finding a hairdresser that can cut it right. So even when I'm straightening it, it's just hard to cut. So she called her hairdresser. So she took me in and the hairdresser basically gave me like a page boy, you know, curl under the chin cut, and I had my bangs. And she told me, this is so awful, and I wish she had never said this, and I wish I had never believed her. She told me some people just aren't born with good hair, and I was one of those people, and that I would have to blow dry my hair straight every single day of my life. That was just some people, and that's how it was. And I believed her, and so that's what I did. From there on out, I had to blow dry my hair straight every single day of my life. As I got a little older, I missed having the long hair. I wanted it long again. And so I was trying to grow it out. I kept trying to grow it out over and over, and I don't want to go through every single step in that process, but finally, when I was in my early 20s, I said, this is it. I'm going to grow out my hair. And I took a picture. I still have that picture from that day. I said, from this day forward, I'm growing it out. My hair has always grown really fast. So it didn't take that long to get from like here to way down here. And in my 20s, there was even a point where it was below my waist. Like, you know, when you put your jacket on or your shirt on, you have to pull the long hair out. I would put my pants on and I had to pull my hair out. It was that long. The problem was, over time, it was getting thin. It was never as thin as it is right now, but it was getting thinner and thinner and thinner. Also, I was pretty much just letting it do its natural thing, not straightening it. I wanted to embrace my curls, right? But I didn't really know how. So it wasn't looking great. It was kind of messy, and then it was getting really thin. And finally in my early 30s, somewhere in there, I decided to just cut it because it wasn't looking very good. So I cut it, and honestly, most of my 30s, I had my thickest hair ever, except for childhood. And then somewhere in my early or mid 40s, I decided to grow it back out again. I will add, I had my son in my late 30s, and even all that postpartum hair loss, it wasn't like super thin because I had really, really thick hair naturally. So when I do lose hair, it's normally okay, unless it keeps going. But even that postpartum hair loss I wasn't worried. My hair wasn't super thin. It was like no big deal. That was just a normal thing. But then so somewhere in my 40s, I decided to grow it longer again. And then in my late 40s, the hair loss started again. And here I am at 51. And it's the thinnest I think it's ever been. And I think I'm going to cut it and hope that maybe it's the weight that is contributing also. I don't know. I don't think it's just that. So I'm hoping though that I can get it a little fuller by keeping it shorter. I did go to a dermatologist recently. I wanted to do a scalp biopsy. I've heard that they can biopsy your scalp, tell you exactly what type of hair loss you have and if it's scarring or non-scarring. If there is scarring, regrowth is not possible. But if there is no scarring, you have hope that you can regrow your hair. He refused to do a scalp biopsy. He said, I am autoimmune and hypothyroid, and those people are just guaranteed to struggle with hair loss forever. He told me to go home and use Minoxidil. So I'm still on the fence. I probably at this point, knowing that this is going to be a lifelong struggle, I probably will at some point use it. I'm just not sure when I want to start, because when you start, you're going to lose more hair initially. Those are the two downsides to Minoxidil. You will lose more hair initially, and then you will have to use it for the rest of your life. But when my layers get too long and just the overall shape of it is not looking good, I put these little clips. They also help keep the hair out of my face. I don't like hair constantly in my face. But this is all my hair pulled forward here. One of the first things I noticed when I started this round of hair loss in my late 40s was like when I'm in the car and the headrest is touching the back of my head, it feels like there's nothing there. It's so thin, like it's just, and even now, like when I touch the sides, it feels like there's nothing there. It's so thin. This is one of my worst spots here. It's all up in here. It's just totally gone. And then it's on this side too, but not as bad as the other side. And then just the overall, it's hard to show on camera, but the overall thinness, if I pull it up, there's scalp showing now. And it wasn't, for a while, I could position it very carefully and make sure my scalp was covered. At this point, I don't even know if that's possible. So when the summer comes, it is March right now. When summer comes and it's hot and I need to put my hair up because of the heat, I'm like, how am I going to do it when I have scalp showing on the sides? And maybe in the back. I can't see the back, so I don't know for sure what's going on there. But anywhere it parts, there's just so much more scalp showing than there normally is or ever has been. My hair normally parts somewhere around here, a little bit over, like that. That's where it normally wants to part. But yeah, it's really hard to show on camera. Those are really the only things I can actually show, but I wanted to document that and see. I normally use a hair fiber thingy that I spray to cover and fill in this gap and close that in. Both sides, typically, it depends what's showing. If I have my hair like over like that, then I just don't bother. But when I have it back and you can see it, I fill it in. Things I've done for my hair loss, it's a lot. I don't even know if I can remember all of it off the top of my head. So let me look. I think I have it all written down. So one of the few positive things I can say I got out of this hair loss was learning how to work with my curly hair. I'm really, really grateful for that because it sort of forced me to not give up. I would have just given up and gone back to straightening because it's what I knew and it's what was easier. But this helps it look a little bit fuller. It hides some of the thinness. I really love it. I feel, it's hard to explain, but I feel more comfortable in my own skin with my curly hair than I ever have, ever. So I really am happy that I learned how to work with this and embrace this. So some of the things I've done, I know when I was a teenager, all I did was like stop putting the clip or repositioning it so it wasn't pulling so much. In my 20s, I really didn't know what to do. I had no idea. There was no internet back then, so it wasn't like I could look for solutions or things. I was kind of just stuck. Like I said, in my 30s, didn't really have issues. I did notice in my 30s that these 2 points were a little receding, and it bothered me, but I didn't know what to do about it. Somewhere earlier on in my 40s, I can't remember exactly. I know I felt like I was dealing with some hair loss, and I was making like a paste. I would soak fenugreek seeds and grind it up in the blender, in the water, the seeds in the water. And I don't remember how I was using it or how often I was using it, but I remember feeling like it really helped. And I don't remember if that was before or after I was growing it longer. It's a really vague memory for me, but I know there was something there. But in this round of hair loss, I can tell you clearly like the things I have done. This particular round of hair loss started in 2019, and initially my doctor was on vacation, and a PA, I emailed my doctor and told her like, I'm losing a ton of hair. Like it's all day, every day, hair falling out. When I wash, there's tons of hair in the drain in the shower. But the main thing was the all day, every day, there was just hairs coming out like everywhere. There was hair all over my house. I kept putting it like in a low ponytail just to like hold them all still. And then at night when I took the ponytail out, there would be all this hair just coming out. It was really crazy. So initially, my doctor, when I emailed her, she was out of the office for a while. And one of the PAs in the office saw my email and answered me and said, come in. I ordered a ton of blood work, like come in and do the blood work. So I went in, and then she told me the only thing she saw was that my ferritin was super low. So I know I've been like iron deficient like forever. So it sent me on this journey. What I believe in retrospect is when I was 12 years old, I had this huge surgery on my rib cage because I was born with a rib cage deformity. I remember them talking about the possibility of a blood transfusion and a lot of blood loss in the surgery. It was 1985, and the whole AIDS, HIV epidemic thing was just getting going, and like they knew it was transmitted in blood, but they didn't know how to test blood for it yet. So that was horrifying that I could get that if I got a blood transfusion. And so my mother refused the blood transfusion and said only if it's absolutely necessary for me to live, which I agreed with. And so I did not get a blood transfusion. No one ever told me like, oh, take iron or, you know, do something for your iron levels. So when I was around 15, I remember like I would come home from school and just go to bed. Like I was so tired. I would sleep the whole way through until I got up the next day to go to school. And I was so tired, and it was getting worse and worse. I remember I would fall asleep in classes. They sent me to the office. They sent me home. Like, so then I happened to be seeing a doctor for, I had a thing on my leg and it wouldn't heal. Well, they did a biopsy on it, and then it still wouldn't, the biopsy site wouldn't heal. So this dermatologist did a bunch of blood work and told me my iron level was very, very low. So he told me to take iron, but you don't want to take too much iron. So I spent like and I could see how I felt better after taking the iron. And so I spent like my whole life, like, you know, teen years, 20s, even 30s and 40s, most of my 40s, and taking iron when I felt extra tired, but being afraid of taking too much. And so it never got properly raised, and no one ever followed up on that. So when they told me my ferritin level was really, really low, and that was the only cause they could see for hair loss, I saw a hematologist, and I got 4 iron infusions, and I have learned so much about iron deficiency and ferritin. I try to help people on the internet that I see as much as I can. Unfortunately, most doctors are not well educated on this area, And thankfully, though, it's something we can do on our own because iron supplements are over the counter. And you can even do your own blood work now if you need to check your ferritin levels. Never just start doing tons of supplementing of iron without checking your levels because not everyone is low, but a lot of people are. So anyways, I did that. I did those iron infusions and my hair loss did stop. But later on, it started again. And then it just, I go through like these phases of it. It comes and goes, right? And each time, and I feel like it never grows back though now. It's like I go through a hair loss and then it stops and I'm like, oh good, it stopped. But then there's another round of hair loss and none of that had grown back from the first one. And they just keep piling on top of each other, getting thinner and thinner and thinner. Okay, so raising my ferritin level, keeping it over 100, 120. It's usually around 150 now. I take iron supplements twice a week now just to keep it maintained. That was a big one. My thyroid, I don't know how long I've been hypothyroid. In my late 30s was probably the first time anyone ever ran thyroid blood work, and it was abnormal, but no, the doctor didn't say anything. And doctors didn't say anything for a long time. And then I actually had to kind of push and say, this is probably why I'm losing hair. And then it was this whole journey to get it controlled well. I had to go to a functional medicine doctor and pay out of pocket to get there. But it is well controlled now. So that should not be contributing to hair loss. The dermatologist I saw that refused to do the biopsy though, he did say that even when your thyroid is well controlled, all of the things that are causing the thyroid to not work are still there. And it's those things that are contributing to hair loss. Low vitamin D and low vitamin B12 can cause hair loss. Those are, my B12 I wouldn't say is low, but it's less than optimal and I'm trying to get it up. I just react kind of negatively to the supplements. I think I'm gonna need to get shots. And then vitamin D, I react horrible to that. I'm trying to take it, but it's like I feel like I'm gonna die and I can't get anything done for a couple days when I take like one drop of it. And I've tried all different forms, all different brands. Like it's been years I've been trying to raise that, so that could definitely be a problem, but getting it up is also a problem. I stopped straightening my hair to help it look fuller, but I do also think just overall hair health and especially scalp health is really important. I used to use a homemade dry shampoo because my roots do get oily, and I have learned that anything that can clog your hair follicles is unhealthy. It doesn't matter if it's chemicals or natural stuff or homemade stuff, it can still clog your hair follicles. So I don't use that ever anymore. Keeping the scalp clean and healthy. I do wash my hair every 3 to 4 days. If I go longer, that seems to encourage hair loss. Like if I try to wash only once a week rather than twice a week, it does seem to encourage hair loss. I don't know why, but it does. And I do believe scalp health is very overlooked and is very, very important. So yes, I focus on that. I use a clarifying shampoo if my scalp is dirty or if I did some kind of oil soak on my hair or my scalp, or like I'll do castor oil on my scalp or I'll do avocado oil on the lengths sometimes if it's really dry. And I will use clarifying shampoo after that. I also love the Pure Adore shampoo. I used to use the hair thinning hair loss one. I have switched to the scalp therapy one. I love both of them. They're both fantastic. I also added on the Nizoral shampoo because they don't really know why, but there is a connection, it seems, where it can help some people to not lose hair. So I added that in too. I don't really like it, but I will finish this bottle and then consider if I want to buy it again or not. I'm not sure. I do use rosemary essential oil on my scalp, usually in the morning. And then I use a fenugreek liquid thing, and I usually put that on my scalp at night. I try to do scalp massages. Something new I got just recently, so I can't say if it helps yet, is a high frequency wand, and it has a comb attachment, and I use it it's supposed to stimulate blood flow to your scalp and to your hair follicles. I have no idea if it's going to help or work, but I'm giving it a try. I do have like a little scalp massager thing. It's a battery powered one. I use that sometimes, and sometimes I just use my hands. It's really important to actually like move the skin over the top of your scalp rather than just rubbing or scratching. That's what gets the most effect from what I've learned in my studies. And I'm going to cut my hair shorter. That's the last thing on my list to try to combat this and hope that it grows back. Like I said, I will probably go ahead and do minoxidil at some point because I think this is going to be a lifelong battle for me. I'm kind of hoping to cut it shorter and get it a little more full and then start it, because like I said, when you start it, you lose more hair initially. And I know that's easy for men because their hair is so short. They can lose it and it grows back like that. And my hair does grow fast. Thank God for that. But to this length, if I lose it and I'm trying to grow it in to this length, it's just hard. So I'll see. Hi guys. I am trying to get the best lighting I have here. I'm really, really sorry. If I lean back, it's a little bit better, but then I'm like back here. So I wanted to update. I did cut my hair. People ask me, what do I think? I don't love it. I don't hate it. It is what it is. And I'm hoping it's a temporary thing, but if it's not, I'm okay with that too. One of the things I've missed having my hair this length is being able to put it up in a twist. When it's really long, I just cannot seem to make that happen. So after seeing the dermatologist, I was pretty frustrated because he wouldn't do his job. You know, I wanted scalp biopsy to tell me what type of hair loss I have to better determine what type of treatment would work and wouldn't work, and then make my choice. He just told me try minoxidil, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. That was his only recommendation. After cutting my hair and talking with my hairdresser, you know, I was sharing with her, you know, why I was cutting it and what the doctor had said. You know, she asked questions, and then I told her, you know, my medical issues and what the doctor said, that this will be a forever struggle considering my medical issues. And once I shared with her a little bit about my medical issues, she said, you know, I have to, knowing that, she said, I kind of have to agree with the doctor that this will be an ongoing issue for you. She did say, you know, she has clients with far less hair than I have, but she also admitted that she doesn't know my baseline, where I'm starting from, and that obviously I do, and I'm comparing this to that, which she can't do that. So all of that to say, at the end of the day, she shared with me that if it's really bothering me and the concern for, you know, I told her it's not just how it is right now, it's what's coming in the future. How much worse is it going to get? And so she shared with me, if it's really bothering me, just try the minoxidil. Just give it a try, see it. It might work, it might not work, but it might work, right? And so I thought it over, and I finally made peace with the decision to start using minoxidil. So I will be doing like a weekly check-in here, but I will be I'm sharing this journey with you, mostly because I was looking for something like this to help me and give me information, and I was really having a hard time finding people just sharing, you know, briefly their journey with this and how they got there. But I forgot to say earlier, this is about the length I had my hair through my whole 30s and my early 40s, somewhere in there. Then I decided to grow it long again because I had it long in my 20s. In my 30s, you know, I just kind of played around with it all the time. I'd go a little shorter, a little longer, a little, you know, never above my shoulders. But yeah, I played with it, you know, lots of layers, grow out the layers. Like, it was all over the place in my 30s, and I had a lot of fun with it. If the minoxidil does not work, I will most likely just keep it this length and hope that some of it will grow back in the way it did in my 30s. But if it does work, I might stay here for a little while. I don't know, but most likely I will end up growing it out again because I just really like my hair long. I like long hair. One final word that I forgot to share. I have done a lot of research on minoxidil and the recommendations. As of right now, this is 2024, what I have found is, these are what I'm using, the liquid and the foam. These are, they say they're for men, they are 5%. There is one for women, it is a lesser percent, it's 2% or 3%, I forget. Everything I have found straight from dermatologists is don't waste your time on the women, just buy the 5%. If you're a man, use it twice a day, every day. If you're a woman, you use it once a day, every day. But if you're a man and it's irritating your scalp, then back off to once a day. Just wanted to share that in case it helps somebody.